In this lesson, we're going to talk about 5 things. We're going to talk about screen resolution versus the actual print resolution. We're going to talk about the point select capability by using your pointer to select things instead of using a box to select things. We're going to talk about fills and fill requirements. We're going to talk about print paper size that's different than a drawing paper size and how to print those. And we're going to deal with multiple drawings being open at the same time. So let's get started. Screen resolution. If you look at these words down here, for example, right here, right, R-A-G-H-T, it looks terrible, right? It's poor resolution. But if I go up here and I zoom in on it, you see there's nothing wrong. The spacing is correct. So I want to point out that the screen resolution is less than perfect when you're in viewing mode. But when you actually print the document, it'll be proper resolution. Apparently they took this shortcut to reduce the CPU workload when you're doing drawings back in the 80s and 90s. So what you see right now is less resolution than what will be printed out. Okay, the next thing has to do with the pointer here. Selecting things with the pointer. Remember I told you if I select inside a box, remember I had the box out here, and if I select inside that box, then like right here, I selected that whole group. Let's just ungroup that group for a second. If I select this box, it's the same as if, say it says rectangle on map coils. It's the same if I select here. But to select the 6, when I'm trying to select the 6 and I'm off a little bit, I get the box instead. So if you use your pointer to select something, you got to be specifically right on it. So now I selected the 6. So it's easy to get something behind or around what you're trying to select with the cursor, with the pointer, I should say. So always make sure you're actually touching something you want to select, and that's that whole group. So that's a subject on pointer selections. We've already discussed you want to select multiple things. You know, we'll select this 6, and we'll select that 5 with the shift. Shift that 5 and shift F4. So you can select that way also, just by using the shift key and clicking on things. It selects all of them. Notice at the bottom we got 3 objects selected now on map coils. Map coils is basically the drawing. Okay, fills. If I want to draw something, let's say I want to go ahead and draw a triangle. So I'll start here, I'll come down here and I'll left click a second time over here, left click second time, and up here, and I don't quite connect them, then I can't fill that because that's not a closed object. If I select that drawing, I try to fill it. Let's say red. Let's do blue this time. Notice it didn't do anything because it's not a closed object. If you end up in that situation, what you can do, you can zoom in on it. So zoom in on it so you can see more clearly what's going on. I hit the wrong button. I drew a circle. Let's get rid of the stupid ellipse. Okay, I meant to click on this and zoom in on it. You see they're definitely not touching. We take this tool up here, which we talked about before. We can select one piece of triangle and we can overlay it on this right here. And now they're connected, I do believe. So if we zoom back out and we select this thing, try to fill it. Still didn't fill. Okay, one more detail with this tool. We circle both of those boxes. Right here, we can take the 2 broken pieces and combine them. As soon as I did that, then you notice the fill took place. So that's a couple examples using this tool here and using the fill to try to get something enclosed. So we can also take this corner here, double click it, and we should be able to split those, break that curve, and notice now it's not filled again because it's not a complete enclosed triangle. So that's what you need to know about fills and about this drawing modification tool right here. Notice that the names aren't popping up. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. This is a Windows 10 issue with Coreldraw 7. Okay, print paper size. I want you to notice that if we go to the layout, go to page setup, you see this is tabloid paper, which is 11 by 17 inches in dimensions. If I want to print this on normal letter size paper, then you have to know what's going on here. So we're going to print this, adjust it automatically under properties. So this is where the paper size is a letter, okay? So it knows that. I should say you specify letter or the original size 11 by 17, which is tabloid. See, back in the days of old, tabloid was used for 11 by 17. A lot of people call it 11 by 17 today. So if we select a letter size, it will scale this drawing down to fit it on that piece of paper. Now some other printers, for example, my wide carriage Canon IX 800, it can print 11 by 17 sheets. So when I do properties on that guy, if I go to page setup, you notice I can say the page size, the printer paper size. I can make this 11 by 17. It's a newer printer. I make this 8.5 by 11. I have to do that if I want to print on 8.5 by 11 with this particular printer. He doesn't do the automatic size manipulation for you. So keep that in mind. Depends on what printer you're using. You want to see if there's some properties option which allows to have the page size be different than the paper size, such as this Canon IX 6800 wide carriage cover printer. Like I said, some other printers, especially older printers, are going to automatically scale it down to the paper size, regardless of the actual print, I should say the viewed drawing paper size. Okay, beat that horse to death. Multiple drawings. If you want to have multiple drawings open at the same time, let's get rid of this thing over here. What we can do, we can just go to File and open another drawing. So this one here is Map 7. We'll open up Chart 6. Now Chart 6 is right here. And if I want to look at Map 7, I simply go under Window, and I can select which one I want to be in the foreground so I can see it. So you can switch back and forth this way between the two drawings. If you need to manipulate both drawings, look at the other drawing to manipulate its opposite drawing, this is how you do it. You just use the window to select different views. So that pretty much covers multiple drawings being opened at the same time. Once again, we can use this, if we select something in this drawing, we can copy it to the clipboard, then we can switch to the other drawing, and we can paste it from the clipboard. Notice it goes to the exact same place it was in the previous drawing. Exact same location. So that's how you move things between drawings. Use your copy and your paste from the clipboard. So I'm going to delete this. I really don't want this in this drawing. So that pretty much concludes drawings. The last thing I want to talk about is layers. And if you don't care about layers, then just don't watch this part of this video. To look at layers, I want to go back to this guy here. And the reason is I'm using it to teach how this generator works. And if you notice, if I do view, I think it's view. No, it must be layout, layer manager. Right here I have all these layers, all right? These layers are default to program, and I added number 2 power winding, armature layer, exciter cable, exciter windings, all these different things I can turn on. If you notice over here we have an eye, so right now I only have the power winding visible, and I only have the power cable visible in layer 1. If I turn off layer 1, I got rid of all this stuff. If I turn off the power cable, it gets rid of the power cable stuff. I can turn it back on. If I turn off the power winding, it gets rid of the phase 1 winding. And I can go up here and I can turn on, I can turn that off. I can turn on the power winding in phase 2, which is in blue. And it connects, notice this winding connects to the blue power cable connections, whereas the other one, the red, connects to the red power cable connections. So this makes a nice training aid. I can also turn on the armature layer. This gets real complicated because this is the actual 2-pole armature of the generator. What I can do, I can select this armature. And I can go up here to take my range. Remember we had the range, transform, rotate. What happened? Arrange, transform. Oh, it's over here. I just didn't see it. Rotation, and I want to rotate this at 15-degree increments. 15, not 150. And if I apply this to this armature, each one of these winding is 15 degrees apart. So if I apply it, I can actually step this thing around, and we can determine the currents coming out here, but there's nothing on this winding. All these windings, currents coming out. All these windings over here, the current's going in, so it's going in, going in, going in. So there's amazing things you can do with the layers. And I just wanted to show you that. So I'm going to turn off the armature layer if I don't want to talk about that. I also have exciter windings. There's exciter windings in this generator. I can turn that layer on. I can turn on the exciter. Let's see, where is it? Exciter cable. I'll turn off the power windings. Turn off the power cable. So you can see you get a lot of different views of this same generator by using layers. Layers are extremely beneficial once you learn how to use them. They're not that easy, and here's why they're not that easy. If you want to modify something on, let's say, the exciter cable layer, you have to select that exciter cable. Then you got to click on this, and this will say switch to that layer. Now, all my editing will be on that layer. In other words, there's something on that layer, I can now delete it. But other layers I can't delete if they happen to be visible. That's the only actionable layer at this time. Now, if I want to print things, it's a little bit different. If I want to print things, there's a printer column here too. So right now I can't print the exciter cable, I can't print the exciter winding, even though they're viewable, they're not activated for the print. But instead I'm going to print the power windings, which I was doing earlier. I'm going to print the power cable, I'm going to print the layer 1 level. So these things are mutually exclusive. Just because you have it viewable doesn't mean the printer's going to print it unless you have the printer enabled. Notice this is darker color, this is lighter because this is grayed out. So this is how you control these layers. To add a new layer, you simply go over here and say new. You can delete a layer, rename a layer. You can move to or copy to layers, and you can spend a lot of time on this, but this is extremely valuable in teaching, such as how a generator works. A complex synchronous generator, self-excited. There's nothing easy about this generator. I've spent several months on it. But anyway, Layers has that capability that you can really determine what you want to view at that particular time. So this concludes the lesson number 4. And anything beyond this is more advanced and it's not for the beginner. So good luck with learning how to use Coreldraw 7.